It's like, can you relax knowing that's coming?
I can. I mean, this is 4 years of my life, and I think I'm completely okay with releasing it. But there had always been something that was preventing me or scaring me from doing it. And I'm so glad that I followed that gut instinct, because it's so crazy that every single moment counts, down to literally Lose You to Love Me and Look at Her Now is out. But we were still like the last day writing music, that the song I personally think is gonna be one of our biggest as well. It's just, that's the kind of magic that happens. And I know that happens with other artists, but the people I'm surrounded by, it just happens, and I'm so grateful. Plus, the song's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
so
man.
I'm pretty proud.
And it seems to me like good people were the difference this time. No disrespect to who you worked with before, but it feels like you really chose your collaborators very deliberately on this album.
Yeah. Well, I think my role, thank you. I think my role, has been, I don't want to work with anyone who doesn't want to work with me. I think I just found my group, and I think I'm getting better and better, but I only know that means it's because of the people I'm surrounded by that inspire me, that challenge me. And I think the past few years, or hell, decade if you want, I think I was really kind of hurting, and I think that prevented me from doing a lot more creatively or even content-wise of what I wanted to say. I'm interested, and I was in the studio last night. I was like, I actually just kind of want to keep going, which I never do. Now I get to have more say too when it comes to even putting the music together. I was always so scared to speak up with producers. Now I know most of them so well that I just give them shit. And I'm always just like, well, I don't, I've never done that really before, where to have a conversation, and it was an important experience for me.
Were there times when you were making the record during that 4 years when you were, like you say, in pain, where you wondered whether or not you would ever get another album or body of work out, or that it would take even longer than it has, that you wanted to throw in the towel and maybe just walk away from that process?
Maybe, but I was under a contract. So, maybe. But when I would have those moments, it never lasted. It was almost like I'd have the low moment and then be like, no, fuck it. I gotta keep going. I've got to, now I feel like I need to say something. And then there's a period where I don't have anything to say, and it just would pick up quickly when I needed it to happen.
Who were some of the people that you, aside from your collaborators, the small group of people that you kind of, I suppose, went to say, is this good? Like, am I on the right path? Am I making sense? Am I speaking my truth?
Right.
Is it good enough?
I didn't.
Wow.
I didn't have anyone listen. It needed to be something that I liked.
For you to take on that challenge to a degree yourself whilst going through this challenging time, like that can be, ultimately fulfilling, but at the time, I'm sure there were lonely moments, where you, like you say, that makes the doubt even more kind of prevalent, doesn't it? When you're kind of on your own trying to work out, navigate your way through this static to find some clarity of vision.
Right. I mean, it's safe to say that I was sad. It's like, whatever. But I think to me, it's such a distant thought. I'm not in that place anymore. And I think maybe before I used to lie and say that so that people would get it, but I kind of show everything that I'm feeling in my face.
Yeah.
But it's not even, like I can't even go there anymore if I tried. It just doesn't seem like it's a part of me anymore. Any of those ties, soul ties, or mental stuff, everything going on, it's all of it's under control, and this is where I'm going, and I see it very clearly.
So there's a lot of liberation on this record.
Yep.
And even the moments when, you're diving into subject matter to resolve it for yourself, it feels like you're doing so with the purpose of trying to get to a liberated place. And so I wondered, at the end of the process, what did you let go of? What did you no longer need in your life once you'd kind of been through this process of writing this album and getting out the other side?
Well, I definitely had to get probably the most toxic thing out of my life first. Then it started becoming being a bit more vocal. I am naturally a people pleaser, so it's just more kind of saying, no, this isn't what I'm going to do. I started noticing, people were putting, that were like setting up sessions, it seemed like favors or something. It kind of got confusing for me. And I think that's why I tend to, one of the many reasons why I tend to just always go with Ian, Julia, and Justin.
Trust.
Loyalty, trust, understanding. Don't give a shit about the industry and believe in the art and believe in music and believe in what I'm saying. I have the greatest label. I'm so grateful for John and all of that. That's not really what I'm describing. I guess it's just, it is weird. And especially being in the position that I'm in as a pop artist, it is harder when it's like, oh, we're having all these things because we think you should sound like this.
Yeah.
I learned a lot this past year about how to navigate that.
So when you write a lyric like, people go from people you know to people you don't, surely that's like a great moment for you, a moment where you recognize that's just a part of humanity.
That one's funny because it was actually my friend Liz. It was her friend that had the hook, and so it was actually random because it came out of nowhere.
God, take it.
Which was really fun.
Yeah.
Everyone goes through it, you know? We go through seasons. People are meant to be in your life for some, and others they're not.
I think if you accept that, though, that's an ultimately positive thing, isn't it? When you realize that if you stop holding on so tight.
Yeah.
To the
I
idea.
hated change. I mean, I kind of still do. But every time I'm on the other side, I'm like, I get it. Thank you for that one. Needed that.
What did you get? Like, what do you get from when you come out the other side? What do you recognize? What do you realize? What do you learn from it?
Okay, good example is, I would say it's about 8, 10 years. It was really painful. And I think when Lose You to Love Me came out, and the reaction it got, I definitely knew it was a special song. I didn't know that it was going to become what it was.
It's your first number one, and people responded to it in such a huge way.
I think when that happened, I had a moment where I said, I completely get it. The agony, the confusion, the self-doubt, all of that wrapped up into that song. That was a moment where I got it. I needed that. I went through that for something like this for other people. And that was a really special moment.
I can't think of anyone who's lived the kind of life you've lived and you're still only 27 years old. To be launching a music career at 17 with what you'd already done, and then to go through the process of growth and identifying and understanding who you are, all in the space of the public eye. And you worked the whole time. How hard was it to find a balance? Was that one of the biggest challenges, finding the balance between work and you? Because you didn't stop working. Even when you were getting sick, you still worked.
Yeah, I think I needed to because it kept me going. So sometimes I pushed myself too far. When I did have to take moments and step back, I didn't find that it was embarrassing or that I was letting myself down or letting fans down. It meant that I needed to make sure. I didn't want to get to a certain age where it was almost too late, that I didn't figure this stuff out. And I had been going through all of these different emotions, not specifically within relationships. It's personal, it's, bigger than that. It's people at home. There was a lot there. And I'm grateful because it has brought me through all of it. But I have this relationship with my job and my work that keeps me going. I know it's kind of stupid, but I always say to my fans that they have saved me from a lot of situations. You're built up just for them to knock you down. It keeps going. It's going to keep happening. But what stayed consistent in my life was that. And because of social media, which I'm able to have more of an intimate relationship with them, and that's, I draw my boundaries to a specific point, but it's literally people that I've known for years. And that meant so much to me, so.
Do you sometimes go and read things and dial into the timeline when no one knows, just to kind of see what people, you don't do that?
No. I didn't have social media for 2 years.
You mentioned that you hadn't been on social media at the start of the last conversation we had, and I kind of wished I'd sort of dived in a little bit more into that, because I just, out of a pure personal level,
It was a rainy Tuesday afternoon, one of those insistent, gray days where nothing in the world felt new or possible anymore, when I stopped in my tracks, coffee in hand, and realized I had been free for exactly 67 days. Free of Justin. Free of worry. Free of self-abandonment. Free of measuring my happiness against the rise and fall of someone else's affection. The understanding hit me not like a cliché revelation, but more like the slow, inevitable unspooling of a tightly wound rope. And as the rain slid quietly down the city windows, I knew, finally and with certainty, that I was completely okay without him. But scroll back 4 years, and you'd see a different story, a different person. Back then, Justin was the main character of my life, and I was happy, or at least I told myself I was. It's not that there weren't good times. There were laughter-filled evenings, spontaneous road trips along the coast, quiet comfort in each other's company on winter nights. I almost convinced myself that this was happiness, that he was happiness. Until, of course, it all began to unravel. Everyone always asks, when did you realize things were wrong? The truth, I think, is that most heartbreak doesn't come from one catastrophic event, but from the slow drip, drip, drip of disappointment and unmet needs. For me, it was small things at first, a missed text, a forgotten dinner, an unkind word brushed off as a joke. But love makes us forgiving, sometimes too forgiving. I kept adjusting, minimizing my needs, rewriting my boundaries. 4 years is a long time to practice pretending, and I became an expert at it. I told myself that love is compromise, a lesson I thought I was mature enough to accept. But compromise, as I learned, is only healthy when it's mutual. With Justin, it meant fading myself out so he could shine. It meant apologizing for my tears, swallowing my opinions, and pretending inconsideration was quirky, not callous. They say you can only outrun yourself for so long before the universe puts a mirror in your path. Mine was a casual comment from a friend I had started to drift away from. On a rare night out, one Justin had wanted to join, she looked at me directly and said, "You're not yourself anymore, you know that? You used to be fearless." It wasn't meant as an accusation, but it struck like one. I went home that night and retrieved, from the bottom of a dusty drawer, an old notebook I kept before Justin. Reading my own words felt like reading someone else's life. A life where plans filled the margins and dreams the pages. I had forgotten her. More than Justin had changed me. I had let him rewrite who I was. Endings are never elegant. No book or movie can prepare you for the messy, uncertain, lonely nights that follow letting go. The first week felt like losing oxygen, the world suddenly too loud in his absence. I'd wake up instinctively reaching for my phone, seeking that morning message, then remember, this is not my life anymore. But something incredible happens after grief, growth. I started calling old friends, taking long walks, letting the silence speak. I noticed the subtle joys I'd neglected. The taste of black coffee, the peace in early mornings, the thrill of deciding simply what to eat for dinner. Little by little, I remembered I was a whole person before him, and I'm certainly one after. People talk about closure as if it's a destination. In truth, it's a process, revisited over and over. Closure comes in small steps. In deleting the contact, in returning that borrowed sweater, in learning to eat alone at your favorite cafe without flinching. I started doing things for me again, not for show, not to impress, not to hold the crumbling foundation of a relationship together. I cut my hair the way I liked, not the way Justin had said was most flattering. I signed up for a pottery class, something I'd once dismissed because it wasn't our thing. I read books, stayed out too late, let laughter return for no reason at all. The biggest surprise was realizing I missed fewer things about Justin than I expected. I missed the routine, but not the man. I missed the idea of being a couple, but not the compromises I'd made. The space he left was soon filled with the rediscovery of old passions, long-neglected friendships, and a quiet, rooted confidence in myself. 4 years is a long time, but it's not a waste. I learned what love isn't, and that lesson is sometimes more valuable than any fairy tale ending. I learned how resilient I am, how joy can be rebuilt piece by piece, and how peace comes when you stop begging for scraps from someone else's table. So am I okay without Justin? More than okay. I am alive, awake, undeniably myself again. Instead of mourning 4 years spent, I celebrate the rest of my years now. Completely, unapologetically mine. And if you ever find yourself believing you can't live without someone, remember, you absolutely can. The proof is in your own heart's wild and beautiful beat, waiting for you to listen